Getting started in just a moment. Alright, hello. Got the shot that I tracked last night on stream. And to kick this off, I'm going to be adding a few more points. Then I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make this work in Syntheyes. And then jump on over to Maya and start putting down some basic geo for some of the environment. So just gonna jump right in. Let's see. Get some more foreground over here. I left this area very empty. Cool. Every time you put a tracker in a little area, try to make sure that it at least has a pairing tracker. Having two trackers at any depth is going to help them work off of one another. Let's get some more in this guardrail. Nice. I'm enjoying this. These are the easy points. Yesterday I wasn't having very much fun, but I like putting these points down. This is good. Plus I know I'm not going to be doing it for very long, so no stress. Milo, hi. Good to see you. It's been a little while. But I got a new setup. Everything's working nicely. New graphics, new music. And I finally got my Streamlabs organized. Got a Go XLR now, so that is awesome. Sound is a whole lot easier to manage. Let's see. I wonder if it's worth putting something on this wall. Yeah, it's totally worth it. Good to see you streaming. Yeah, it's gonna be I'm gonna be streaming more frequently now. Now that everything's good, everything is easy. That's the biggest thing, is that everything is easy now. It wasn't easy before. I kept taking things down and building it back up every time I streamed, but now the setup's permanent. Good times. Oh, that motion blur is a little bit annoying right here. Went a little bit too high with that one. There we go. Back on track. Yes, that was intended. Get something over to fill out this space. This is looking pretty empty, very barren. Nice. Oh, I should track the other direction. What am I doing? I'm not going to carry on with that one. I could. You can read it pretty well, but I'm not going to go with it. I'm not going to keep going with it. Nice, pretty clean. Let's get a couple road points. Pretending that the road is the most important portion of this shot. Oh, this point isn't even on the road. I had it a little bit too high. Right there. Okay. Good. Opened up the texture panel by accident. That would be the T button, if anybody cares to know how to open up the texture panel. Or you can go to 3D, find it right there. All right, let's track some of the stuff up here in the sky, because the sky wasn't doing too well. If you look at a point like this, I'm going to lock onto the 3D point with Shift 5. You can see that it's just kind of having its own party here. So we got to put some more points up in the sky. And I'm really liking the look of this here. Ah. Gotta bring up my search box. Interesting that it couldn't find that feature, that it chose this. Might be because I'm using some modes that I'm maybe shouldn't be. I turned on steady camera like that's a good idea. Oh, well, that found it. No points here, but it looks like I can bring this one back. Cool, so where there was a gap with this tracker, now it's filled. So I could hit solve now, and I should be solving in refine. I don't need to be solving from scratch every single time with this. So refine. If you solve with refine, it's going to skip this beginning and end frame process. So you're not doing a solve just from nothing. It's just going to work off of what you already have. Very fast to work with. So if I hit solve, it's done already. It's done, like you can't even read it. So fast. This is interesting music. Alright, so the sky's looking better. Well, let's fill it out a little bit more with a few other points. I don't like this song. Actually, let's bring up this search box a bit more. So I can hit E, and nope, it didn't jump back there. Sometimes you can hit E, it'll re-enable the tracker, and if the search box is big enough, it will find that last feature. That was the slowest nudge in the world. Should not have done that. Alright, cool, it's something. Just out of curiosity, I'm gonna hit W just to turn on 08. I want to see what the 08 point looks like. Looks like that. A little shaky. Just want to see what happens if I turn it off. Or turn the tracker back on. So yeah, it's still shaky. But this shot has a lot of rolling shutter. And Syntheyes isn't really good outputting rolling shutter for other software. I don't think you can do animated ST map for rolling shutter. So there are some roller shutter settings that you can set within Syntheyes to kind of show you a better, more accurate solve error based on what the camera might be doing. But outputting that data isn't really the most useful. So a lot of clients don't really request it, and we don't do it. 3DE it's pretty good with. Maybe PF Track, I don't know what PF Track is about there. Let's get this power line. It's barely visible. Now, why is that not tracking? Doesn't look that different. I guess it does. When you look at this little thumbnail, this little preview window, it does look pretty different. So I've skipped the frame. I'm gonna go back to the last key and hit H by hand, just so I can fill in this little gap. Now, I'm pretty certain this does not come back into view, but let's take a look anyway. Yeah, it doesn't. Not even close. And am I solving with distortion? Yes, I am. I'm not even using a fancy distortion. I have a newer version of Syntheyes, but I don't like it. Oh crap, that comes back. I should be tracking that. Okay, cool. And if I solve, what does this point do? It's a little closer. Nice. Little pop here, but that would be partially because of the transition frames. The tracker just shuts off, and the point is trying to lower its weight as it goes off frame. In Syntheyes, every tracker, as it's nearing the end of its life, it actually lowers its weight, and that's based on, if you go to Solver, there is transition frames right here. If you're in a newer version of Syntheyes, you hit the More button, and then at the very bottom of your Solver settings, you'll see transition frames. It's like 3 frames. 3 frames before any tracker goes off screen, it's going to soften it out, so that when a tracker turns off, your camera doesn't just jitter. Milo, have you installed the latest Syntheyes update? No. I'm still not convinced on the new solver. Matt Merck on his Discord was talking about it, and he was telling me it's going to be okay. But I've been looking into it, and people who have not multiple versions of Syntheyes installed and other stuff, still the errors that I can't stand about it are still occurring. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm a little scared to make the jump, especially if it means that I have to completely clear my previous version of Syntheyes. Things just solve so easily in 1709. It's so easy. And it's predictable. I like the idea of what's going on with new Syntheyes. I do. I really want to understand it more. I just wish there was more information about it out there. Nobody talks about it. Nobody's talked about it. I'm kind of really hoping that Matt Burke does like a really tough shot or something with it, with multi-object constraining and scaling and all that stuff. Yeah, he told me it's a preference issue. I'll be honest, I kind of don't buy that. Not now after what I saw. I tested it out. I gotta message him on Discord and just maybe see if there's something else that it could be, because he'll hopefully know. He'll hopefully know. Like he's much more on the technical end than I am by far. I'm not technical. I just know that I can test things and see if they change, and nothing changed. But man, I actually can't wait to see Matt talk more about the solver. Like I'm really excited to see how he dives into it. Such a smart dude. Okay, is there anything significant I want to add before I start to do some actual solving to this? I might add just a couple more trackers underneath this bridge. Not super happy with how I left it. It's actually looking not bad. I might just go for it. You know what? I think I'm just going to try and go for it. First, I want to get a little sky dome. So I'm going to do something. I wish Syntheyes... Oh, you know what? That would be a good request, I think. I wish Syntheyes had a sky dome. Just a half sphere. And I wish that dome, the pivot will be the bottom of the dome. So when you drag it to the ground plane, it scales up from the ground. Because right now, I scale it up. Also, I gotta go to F3, Control F, and the world size is too small. So I'm gonna up the visions a little bit. Let's go with 40 and 24. Let's try 22. Sure, I like squares. And let's go with mesh lightsaber deletion. Nice. And now I'm gonna invert normals. Hey, sky dome. And the pivot. Did the pivot just move? No, the pivot didn't move. I see a lot of rolling shutter. Are you calculating? No. Calculating rolling shutter in Syntheyes just doesn't help you much, because working with the data outside of Syntheyes, there isn't really a good workflow for it like there is with 3DE and maybe PF Track. 3DE I know for sure. 3DE we've done rolling shutter solves at Track VFX. But Syntheyes, we can't get rolling shutter. If I remember correctly, maybe something changed. I actually should check on this. But as far as I know, you can't get rolling shutter to appear in an ST map sequence. So yeah, I'm not calculating for rolling shutter. If the data isn't applicable in an easy manner outside of Syntheyes, you might as well solve and see what you're gonna get in the other software just within Syntheyes. Boris, hey, it's been some time. What are you working on? Currently just doing a simple erratic camera solve. It's been a while since I've streamed because I got a new setup. I got a new dual PC setup going, and everything's kind of changed around. So I'm kicking this off with this shot as a first stream back. So yeah, just a simple free move, but it's erratic, it's shaky, there's motion blur. And also the bridge comes over here and kind of makes solving this area a little slightly messy. But that is about it. Milo, I hope my explanation on that was sufficient. Be interested to know how Matt Merck deals with rolling shutter, because if anybody calculates with it in in Syntheyes, I just want to know if they're exporting it out and actually working with it elsewhere, because it's very much rather see what my solve is going to be doing. Because if there's like this stuff here, wait, this stuff right here, like if this isn't perfect, because you could see this is nasty. So if they're putting a sign in this area, Syntheyes, if Syntheyes displays it nicely because I have the settings on, but then I export this out and I can't export a warped plate to work with in other software, that doesn't help me. So I would rather know that these trackers are bad, and I would take them and I would weight them up. So solve. And now if they're going to put a sign right here, the sign will stick, because this is the area that we're focusing on. If they're putting a giant robot on the bridge, I'm probably going to put some more weighting on the bridge. But yeah, really, if a shot is just so messy and destructive, or if comp artist or editorial has repoed their plate or stabilized it, which messes with its lens center, then we'll start to focus areas where we want them to stick more. I am going to turn that weighting off. Let me right click that. There we go. Okay, my dome. Let's get my dome in here. So I'm going to go F3. Who's messaging me? Ah. Okay, my dome. The dome, I was going to move the pivot because I want to scale it, but it scales like this, and that's silly. So to move the pivot in Syntheyes, hit Control P, and now you are actually seeing where the pivot is. I kind of like how Syntheyes puts these controls. It looks a little trippy, but based on the axis, it fits within the frame of the object. So that's why Y looks like it's up here, floating funny. That's fine. So Control P, off. And oh, now I can go and translate, zero it all out. Now it's centered. Whoop, okay. Now we got a cool dome, and let's go 3D hole rotate. Let's see. If you start to move your scene around and you see that your objects are sticking with your scene when you have hole on, right click, 3D, hole effects meshes off. That's a good feature when you want to reposition your scenes and drag all the geo along with it. But when you're initially placing a camera, lining the camera up to geo, that's perfect. Then yeah, you don't want that. So I'm going to guess that horizon line is somewhere, I don't know, somewhere here. There's really no way for me to tell. The only thing that I could do to get the most accurate guess of where the horizon line is I would use geometry for these power pole. Oh, see, that power pole is very clearly tilted over. They often are very crooked, but I could put a geo for every single power line and use those to kind of average what is up and down in my scene. You can also judge trees sometimes. Some trees are pretty straightforward. Also, this shot looks kind of boring. Hold on, I'm gonna contrast it up, literally just so it's fun to look at. I don't know. It's kind of a dumb thing, but whatever. Sure, why not? And if anybody watching is wondering why I'm not using tracker radars, if I turn on tracking radars, because of the rolling shutter situation with this shot, there is a gradual error that is happening amongst all the points. Like right here, this is some rolling shutter mess. It's not much I'm going to be able to do about that. Also, the thing that's tricky about this shot is And shots like this are tricky because clients expect you to nail these shots, but this is being shot through the windshield of a vehicle. There is distortion that you cannot calculate. So a shot like this, if you have the chance to talk to your client and just say, okay, here's what's up, it's you need to know what's happening. There's a windshield, you can't solve that 100%. There's no way. So rolling shutter and windshield, there's no way you're gonna get 100% solve. My solve error is 1.2. That's just lucky. That's my average area for where the solve is. Like right here, it's decently stable. Also, if I remember correctly, this shot is not the highest resolution. It's 2048 by 1080. Wait, is that downres? Is that my downres version? Nope. So it's 2048 by 1080. This error is also based on the size of your pixels. So if you have a standard like HD shot, just 1920 1080, there is less distance for your tracker to travel across pixels and produce a high error value. So an error value of 1 here, it's not bad. I mean, sorry, it's not bad. It's all right. It's pretty close to good. Actually, it's pretty good for most shots concerned. But, you know, you got to take in mind that the higher resolution your shot, if there's more dense pixels, your trackers have more freedom to slide more. So if you have a 4K shot, you might see you have an error or 2 or something, but your shot is actually perfect. Milo, windshield was my next question. Yeah, but you addressed it. Nice, good timing. So yes, I'm gonna pretend that horizon line is good. Let's make the bottom of this bridge the focus of the shot. So I'm gonna put a little bit of extra weighting down here. Double it. Cool. Also, maybe the sign back here. I don't know. Yeah, let's put the sign up a little bit. Let's pretend they're putting some CG on the sign. Maybe 1.5. Little bit of extra weight. So forcing this bridge and then forcing that sign will kind of cause this little teeter-totter effect where every other point in the scene might not have the best solve. Oh, so hold on, let's shift G. So yeah, our sign is pulled in a little bit more. We could increase this a lot more. Maybe let's do that. Let's try by 2, see what we get. I'm gonna go to the worst frame. I could just keep increasing that, but there's so many points, and this rolling shutter in the windshield are all just gonna keep fighting one another. So there's a chance some clients will accept this. If you can't make everything work, you gotta section it out. You gotta give them a camera for the sign, and you gotta give them a separate camera solve that focuses on the bridge. Let's see what this sign's doing. Yeah, you could see it there too. But yeah, there's not much I'm gonna be able to do about that. There's just no way with this. So yeah, I think with this solve, I'm just gonna add a couple more points that are gonna help me out with my build in Maya. And then let's get out of Syntheyes. Oh, I wanted a point here. That's an intersecting points, but maybe I can track this rivet. I just want something on the wall here. Okay, and let that one be. I also should take note. Syntheyes remembered the point weighting from my previous tracker, so my weight is 2 on this tracker. I'm going to go to the first frame, right click, turn it back to just default 1 weighting. Not the best. But again, there's a lot of factors that are fighting against that. What's nice about a shot like this too is that there's no possible way for you even to notice that things are sliding and not sticking perfectly. It's the motion blur and the erratic nature of the shot. If you saw this in a movie theater or something, or TV, you wouldn't be able to tell. But it doesn't mean you want to kick that stuff under the rug. Could I get something right here? Yes, I can. All right, let's stop at that one. I say that as if I stopped it by my own free will, not the edge of the plate. I am not a smart man. I should get something on this sign too. That's a very sloppy tracker, but whatever. If for some reason you have the mindset that you can rush through your points, at least do people the favor of putting a lot of points. The more points you have, the more you can get away with some sloppy points. But please don't try to get away with sloppy points. Doesn't look too bad. You know what? Let's hit this with a smooth and see what it does. First, let's take a look at the path. So an area like this, I would imagine that the camera is not making motions like this. It's in a truck moving forward. There's a lot of weight. I don't imagine things like this are going to be there, and I don't want it to contribute to my smooth. If I go and do a smooth of this, I will be playing with the frequency later. You could see that I still have that little mound in there that I don't know is completely necessary. Sometimes I go and I like to get rid of these mounds that I just don't believe should be there in the first place. Like right here as well. Like I don't need that to contribute to my smooth. So I'm gonna get rid of some of that. I think this frame's not gonna smooth properly. Syntheyes doesn't account for the end frame and the first frame because there's no data there's no data on that side. A lot of programs with their smooth account for this and can smooth those frames still, but Syntheyes doesn't. So let's look at Y. That's so messy. What does it look like if I smooth that? It could be. It could have that bump. The truck's bumping up and down. Like, that's not too bad, but seeing that the road before looks like this doesn't make me believe that I should have that. So I might just blast out a couple little spikes here. Trying not to go overboard because I don't want to kill it completely. And this path is the vehicle actually going forward. Let's get rid of that. Maybe get rid of this. I don't know. I'm not going to touch that much. So, looking at these, hold on. Let's turn on Z for a second. So if I smooth all of these just with the default values, there's a chance that could be over smooth. Like, there could be some of those big motions in the vehicle. But maybe I want to keep some of that fine motion. Maybe I want to smooth the high frequency noise so I get the bigger motions smooth, but I don't completely lose that erratic motion. I could turn frequency up and get the finer details. Like, see there, when I smooth it, it's smoother, but I still have those little motions. Looks like the end frames didn't do too bad. Here, there's a little bit of a kink there. A little bit with the Y too. Z there. Z we especially want to be nicer. Let's go and correct this. Whoops. There we go. Let's go see what the first frame is doing. That's not too bad. All right, I'm happy with this. So let's go reset the filter. Always reset your filtering because it'll apply to every solve that you do. Now come over to Axis Locks and position, first frame. Always turn on your locks on the first frame because these locks, you can animate them. And if you do it halfway through, you're gonna turn it on halfway through. So position on, get, okay. And calculate. Whoop, what's that? So we have some error coming back in here. Wait, did I hit get? What didn't I do? Oh, I don't have constraint on. Wait, let's see if that fixes it. Okay, yeah, I had to turn constraint on. Sometimes I found I don't have to, but I think that's if I'm just within automatic. Because I've noticed sometimes I don't have to use that. And I can keep a locked path. I swear. I've messed with that many times. Okay, so we got that smooth. Let's take a person in here and scale him. So we're gonna go Earthling and make him 170 millimeters. Unfortunately now the dome is minuscule. This is going to be a really big scene. I'm going to go to Syntheyes, the world size here, and tack on a 0 here. Hopefully that helps me. Wait, where is it? Oh. And whole, I'm probably going to have to make that dome a little bigger. Scale, what do I want to scale from? I want to scale from this point right here. I like this point. So I'm going to click from that point to scale, just so I can keep my ground locked to the ground plane. I made him too small. So I'm just going to kind of picture him at the scale of that car. Like, you can see the people in there. Whoops. I don't know, let's just pretend he's something like that. Something somewhat reasonable. I could position him right beside that car and, you know, you can look up how tall cars are and how tall people are. put him right beside there and then scale him up. I just don't want to go into that level of detail. Something I should do, actually, I should add a point or two to the road over here. I should turn off. Let's go retrack it existing. There we go. So my search box is not trying to predict the path on a very erratic path. Whoops. Scale box is small again because it animates. I didn't track that point the best that I could have. It looks stable enough. So at least I have something over there on the road. I should be putting a lot more points on the road. But I don't want to be spending forever on this shot. You're not going to get it much better anyway, just because of the whole distortion thing that's going on. Okay, I gotta stop myself at some point, so last point, or maybe one more if I see one that I really want to add. Looks like that smooth that I did also screwed up my points under the bridge. So this bridge, or this point should be on the ledge underneath that bridge. Yeah, my smooth has screwed it up. Okay, so I gotta fix that. Last point he said, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let me turn off that lock and hit solve and see if it fixes this point. So right, I also couldn't see what it was doing here. Oh wait, what? Oh yeah, okay. So let me go over here, see if it let's see if it solves back into its position. It solves closer. It's my smooth that did that. Is there anything I can track here that would recover that? If I really, really wanted a desperate way to fix that point, I could do this. This is desperate. So if I go to trackers, you could see we have seed and lock right here. And when you drop a point on the mesh, or if you place a tracker manually onto a mesh, well, I gotta change the song. It's a little distracting to me. Yeah, so if you lock a tracker in any way, its position in space, that data is right here. Seed and lock. And you can tell it to lock on whatever, lock onto floor, plane, wall, and whatever. But, so if I go to this Y, if I drag it right now, wait, what? Hold on. Let's set seed onto the selected tracker. There, it has a seed point. And now with the Y, if I drag it up, see, I'm dragging this constraint point. I'm going to go up, drag it up here, turn on lock. Also, now because of that, now that I'm putting locks in my scene, I do have to tell a couple other points in this shot to actually lock to where they solved. So I'm gonna select a few points just evenly spaced around that I like. And I'm also gonna set their set seed, turn on lock. And let's hope that this bridge moves up when I hit solve. Please, please, please. Yes. Oh my god, that was so easy. Oh, that's relieving. I hate screwing up on stream. All right. That was a big relief. Let's turn on the smooth the path lock again. My smooth is still there. It's still loaded. So let's watch this. Please. What happened? Oh no. What caused that? Why? What sorcery is this? All right. I done up. I didn't time that very well. I done up. There we go. Okay, what to do? I was so happy that I did it successfully, and now I've gone and done this. Let's do a new smooth. So I'm gonna leave some of this crazy motion because maybe I overdid it before, and now that I forced the point into position, it is not happy with it. Let's go and... Yeah, I think I might know what happened. I over-constrained some points. Yeah, let's just find out what happens. So, I'm just going to let it do a raw smooth. I am going to turn the frequency up to like 7. Cool. I should fix this. Not the cleanest fix, but whatever. Okay, please. Please give me something. Oh, also, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to select all the constraint points. So I'm going to hit 2 on my keyboard. So here's all the points with constraints. I can shift, drag. And except for this point, except for that one point, I'm going to... Oh, wait. No, never mind. I'm fine. I was going to kind of reset their lock position, but they're not going to move. Okay, give me something, please. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I might have went overboard with some of the smoothing before. Okay, so the bridge. So down here it gets a little crazy, but that's fine. Because we're probably now looking at the windshield where it's at its most sloped at the bottom. Because the higher up you go, the more that we are looking through the window, like on a planar angle. But at the bottom of the screen, you got that glass warp. So this is going to be bad. It's a combination of camera distortion and the windshield. Oh, Elo, maybe is because the smooth path is for a different solve. It could be, but here's the thing. That solve, the different solve, is what all these trackers' locks were based on. So, technically it was for the same solve. But this point being forced might have actually been it. Actually, that might have been your point. Sorry if I missed it, but yeah, this you're probably right, because this point was moved, and now technically that needed a new solve. Yeah, no, I think that might be what you meant. Sorry about that. You are right. Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna get much better. Let's go and start dumping this into Maya. I'm gonna save. Something I do have to do is we need to write out this plate. We need to apply the distortion. So lens workflow. And redistorted 2. That's gonna give us distortion without the use of overscan, and we also now have increased resolution for your render. Oh, also our film back, like it says 9. This is default Syntheyes. Like I didn't use the film back for the camera. I believe this is a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. This belongs to Walnut Brain. I could use my Blackmagic camera, but I'm not going to bother with any of the settings for this. I'm just letting Syntheyes do its own thing. But your backplate, whatever it is, in Maya, it's going to be increased a little bit with that resolution. So that doesn't harm anything, but it freaks out a lot of clients. And they look at it and like, oh, but the film back's wrong and you're not using our information. And it's pretty silly. They should just be working with the new stuff. Because also, with distortion, when you apply distortion, it will change your focal length. Half the time they give you a focal length, and it's like, oh, you should be using this 50 mil or this 24 mil. If you're using a wide lens like a 24 millimeter, and you apply distortion and that frame changes, your focal length is going to change. And some clients like don't understand that, and they freak out when you don't use their focal. Yeah. What is the solve error? 1.8. Not good. But also, I smoothed the camera. And locked some points. And I forced this bridge. So I took away a lot of Syntheyes' freedom. But those were things that I wanted to do because again, we're not gonna deal with the rolling shutter, at least not in Syntheyes. Because of the exportable options. And we can't. No program can solve for distortion of glass. Filming through glass. No program can do it. It's impossible. Well, I wouldn't say impossible. I'm certain some software will come out one day where it's gonna start using AI to kind of do its own mesh warping on the plate. But yeah. Anyway, I've done the things that I felt were needed. I smoothed the path because if there's anything flying past the camera, I want those things to look good. I've high weighted a couple points, and we've locked some points. So overall, the error is going to raise up across the shot. Again, this error, a lot of people look at it and say, oh, my solve is bad. Well, sometimes it's out of your control, and sometimes you got to put the focus in a shot where you want it to be. So I got this, and let me swap over to Maya. First, let me write out this plate. I'm gonna go to save sequence, but just in case it opens up a window with some project files, I'm gonna hide my screen for a moment. So 1 second, I am going to save sequence. And I'm just gonna show real quick. I hit the that little button to come over here. I found the folder, and I changed the type to EXR sequence just so I can see the sequence and I can steal the name of the first frame. but I typed in UD for undistort, and then I typed in JPEG at the end, just to make it easy. And now I can write this out like very fast. Cool. Plate's out. And I gotta hide just for one moment again. Okay, so let me just export this file, Maya. All right, back again. And now I can export. Okay. And swapping over into Maya. All right. So to open up that file, Syntheyes puts your file in the clipboard all the time. So if I Control O, I have the open window on my other screen. I can't show it. But in your file name path, in that file open window, just paste the file and hit open. It's opening. I guess it's going very slow for some reason. Oh, nope. It's because I had a don't save thing over here. All right, so first things first, let's go over to the image. And I'm going to type in _UD and then go and swap out the EXR for the JPEG and hit enter. Yeah. And I'm going to split my view. And you could middle mouse your camera over here. And over here you can hold space. Click in the Maya center, perspective view. Also, I don't want to see this plate. So looking through, there we go. And let's pretend that I oriented this and cleaned up. Akam, hello. What's going on here? Finishing up the shot that we were tracking yesterday. So I literally just jumped into Maya, and all I did was select this plate and put in my distorted plate from Syntheyes. So now, oh, Akam's on Twitch and YouTube. So now, let's see. Okay, so I can bake my camera out now if I wanted to. Sometimes if you didn't orient your scene in Syntheyes, you could take your group here and you can kind of position it however you want. But I'm pretty happy with where it is. So I'm going to take this camera. For anybody who doesn't have it, HK Tools gives you some bake options. So you have like camera bake, child space. Actually, what is that? Maybe that's an object bake. More importantly, you have stabilizer tools here. Well, it's not a button. It's actually a hotkey that comes with this script. But yeah, so I'm going to take this camera and I'm going to hit bake camera. And I can go reset scale, sure. And now our camera is outside of the group. It's baked to the world space. If you don't want to get this tool, here's how you can do it. I just undid it. So I can duplicate this camera, Shift P to get it out of the group. And now select your camera with the motion that you want. Then your new camera, hold space, come down to constrain, parent constrain. And if you didn't move your frame, if you didn't slide along your frame, maintain offset is fine, but I'm just going to turn it off. So now your camera, wherever it is constrained to that other camera. And this camera, I can go edit, keys, bake simulation. My Maya flashed away for a second. That was weird. So now I can delete that constraint, and there's my new camera. And then you would just come up here and apply a new image plane. You would have to find that image plane again. But yeah, I'm going to delete that. I'm just going to take this camera one and use bait camera. Yes. And this new camera has kept my image plane. It appears to not be playing because my viewport looks like it screwed itself up. Okay, so that's a little annoying. 1 second. I'm just hitting control. I just saved the scene. I just control S. I'm going control O and I'm just gonna double click the same Maya file and open it up fresh. Interesting, it's not playing. Okay, what's causing it grief this time? Let's try to make this easy. I'm gonna hit select down at the bottom. So I've selected the image plane. I'm gonna hit delete. Let's come up here and I'm gonna just tether in the sequence. Okay, please work. What's going on? $86400. Oh, it's these digits, isn't it? 1 sec. I don't know why it was working before. Or was it? Am I just tripping out? Was it never working? I could have sworn it was working. Okay. 1 sec. Let's go back to Syntheyes. Save sequence. And I'm going to get rid of these. And let me try to reopen this file. Yes, okay, that was it. Cool. It did not like those extra digits at the beginning. Okay, so just to start this off, this is because the car is moving pretty far. I want to immediately get a dome in here. My scene's pretty small, so I'm going to take the depth of this image plane, tack on a couple zeros on it, a few zeros, just kick it way out into infinity. Now I have to select my camera, come over to camera shape, to my actual focal length and all this stuff. And here I can go far clip. I'm going to tack on a few zeros here. And near clip, I'm going to turn it up a little bit to like 10 or something, just so that near and far aren't so extreme. If it's super extreme, like if the near clip is very small and the far clip is very far, you're going to start noticing some funny artifacts in your scene. Okay. So that camera's baked. I'm going to take my trackers, Shift P, get it out of there. And the other stuff I just don't need. So I'm going to name this camera Shot Cam. Followed by, I'm going to save the file, copy the number of the shot. And then at Track VFX, we tend to take how many frames are in the shot. I'm just not going to do that for this. But yeah. So, Locators, I'll name this Locators. And I'm also going to make a group. I'm just going to click on nothing and then hit Control G. So now I have a null. It's just a group with nothing in it. Call it set proxies. All right, so at Track, we have a button for this, but I'm going to put these into layers. I'm going to come over to the display layers here. You can hit Control A and jump between channel box and attribute editor. We're going to go to channel box. Come down to display and hit the 4th button at the end. That's going to make a new layer and put the thing inside it. So now I can call this shot cam. Let's give it a color like red. Whoops. Go set proxies. Make another layer. Call it set. I'm calling it set geo because if I call it set proxies, Maya doesn't want the same names. And make it a blue or whatever color you want. Again, these colors, you can make them whatever you want. And I'm going to go with locators now. Get a fluorescent green. Actually, I'm going to go yellow. I like yellow. Locks. Awesome. Now if I look over here, a little bit more visible. Also, I should go into the preferences and change my line width. I'm going to try to double it up just because stream, I am working at a higher resolution than I am outputting to a stream. So hopefully this little extra line width looks a little better. Maybe a little bit easier to read. Like if I make some geo, hopefully these lines look a little bit better on stream. Okay, wireframe unshaded on. Aliasing, always turn aliasing on. You don't want to look at jittery pixels and think, why is my track popping around? Alright, so I'm going to save. And let's split our view. Middle mouse our camera over here. And perspective, and let's go to something brighter. Cool, so let's see what we want to do. What I should have done is I should have oriented the scene to be parallel with that bridge. But whatever, we're going to model it. We're going to model some basic geo for it just as it is. So I'm going to go... actually, I'm going to go shift. If you shift right click in Maya, you get all your geometry. So if you look and see cube right here, I can just go shift, click and swipe. There we go. And I can go hold D and then C to snap to curves. Or the tack to an edge here. And now I'm going to snap. Actually, let's go to the bottom. DV. Wait. Oh, sorry. DC. Whoops. Gonna go hold V, snap to vertex. And it's a shame you can't see past the gray. What do? I'm going to right click, assign favorite material, use background. So now, let's tuck this way over here. Now you can see we have a nice clean wireframe. Something I should do is I'm going to snap over to this vertice. We're going to start this from as far away as we can from the middle. I need a point for this bridge. So I want a point over here, but I didn't track a point there. So if I want one, I can go create locator and I'll snap it somewhat close by. And I will line this up to the point that I want. So now if I go into perspective view, my camera is really small. Let me go select the camera. Let's see, Control A, locator scale right here. I'm gonna make this, I don't know, 20? Let's go 30. There we go, bigger camera. So that locator, if I hold D and then V, now I'm moving the pivot. If I hold middle mouse, I could snap it to all the locators and vertices and camera. And there we go. So now if I scale this point back, you can see that it doesn't change in the camera view because it's only pushing forward and back in depth. So what's nice about this is I can scrub ahead, scrub back or ahead or whatever. And we can see the little bit of parallax it made. So I can scale it here until it lines up on all views. And it looks like we got it. So also I got to turn on wireframe unshaded. There we go. So I could see the stuff. All right, so I'm gonna scale this over until I can orient it over to that new locator that I trust. And since Maya doesn't get rid of your divisions, your history, your input, I can go over to Polycube here and I can turn the divisions up. Let's see, height, sure. Let's get some height. Depth, yeah, might as well. Width, there we go. Get some polygons up in here. So I chose a point that was kind of stuck out. I should snap a point over here. And rotate this until you can see the points appear again for that wall. And I'm just gonna average it out a bit. Some of the points are at different depths. There we go, that's better. Milo Lab, now make the bridge explode. I could fracture it. I don't remember how to fracture things in Maya because who does that in Maya? I think I remember how to do it in Houdini. Okay, I'm gonna expand this bridge right out to the other side. So let's go right here, and this looks like the furthest point that I constrained a while ago. So now I'm gonna take the bridge, rotate it down until we get to this other corner here. Let me hit the plus button so I can get that controller a little bigger. There we go. So with that, we should see now that if I scrub to the end, yeah, it's close enough. That's where I had that little area, and yeah, my smooth still, like, it's not the most perfect. It's not the most perfect job here. Also, you can see the construction on the bridge is a little uneven. Okay, hit 5. Get my shading back. Let's get a little sign. So I'm going to go polygon, plane, snap over to the sign here. Hold J. Oh, wrong way. There we go. I'm going to hold D and V, snap the pivot down to the bottom, snap it to that. And let's assign existing material use background. Let's lock onto this. So HK tools, these tools, if you don't have these tools, you should. There's some guy made them and put them out for free. You can find them on my Discord channel under Match Move Tools, I believe it's called. One of the channels on my Discord says Match Move Tools, and you can find this shelf. It's literally just a drag and drop in the Maya, and it just makes you the shelf and has all the icons. Polygon plane, so subdivision width. Let's turn it down a little bit. I'm a big fan of nice... Ooh. Okay, cool. So, let's go hotkey set for the first button. And look at the bottom. It tells you if you're set to what? I'm set to my default. Okay, let's cycle it back again. Warning, my default. There, I clicked it again. HK Tools hotkey set on my Maya. So I think I can hold, was it Shift-Alt-C? Yeah, Shift-Alt-C is stabilize. Here we go. That sign's not too bad. Let's go over here to these points. Shift-Alt-C. Will you do the same scene in Blender? I want to try, yeah. I want to try, but Blender's pivot snapping stuff is terrible. So I'm going to play around. I'm going to struggle. I don't know if I'll do it now or later. I'm not too sure. So plane, because I do want to leave my apartment and go over to the mountains. I want to go shoot some HDRIs. And make a diamond. Yes. All right, and let's see, use background. This diamond's a little crooked. And let's just push that back a little bit. Cool, and take the polyplane, turn my divisions down a little bit. Cool. Again, if you want any of these features to be better on a shot that has so much stuff on it, just high weight some points. Oh, also, this stuff that I've been modeling now, if I want to see it better, we have the display layer for set proxies, so I can... Actually, let's call this bridge. Sine, oops, sigum, sig. Okay, I can select my geo, middle mouse it under set proxies. Now it's bright blue. Let's get my dome in here. I'm gonna go sphere. Now you can see we got this trippy looking stuff. So because use background, it literally pulling your background, your image plane, and your world space in Maya. It's taking that and putting it forward on the shader. So you get these cool little results like this. So I'm gonna make sure that this dome is level to the camera's average position, which is the middle of the shot in this case. I'm gonna snap it to the camera. And we're gonna make this real big. Also, I have to change the clipping for my perspective camera now. So double zeros to far clip. Let's make near clip 10. There we go. How far can I go? Yeah. So let's just make this real big to account for the massive space, because the sky should appear like it's not moving. So you can see when I move around, that dome is barely moving. Some people may not like this. You could make a smaller shape and parent it to the camera's motion, but if you're doing things that are at an infinite distance, you gotta do one or the other. And some people don't like when there's constrained objects. They'd rather have a geo just be tossed into Nuke or tossed into whatever program and not have constraints from Maya. So I like to just make the geo scale it right up. Let's crank that up, and I'm gonna go 26. My favorite division level for these things is 50 and 26. I like how even it is. Delete that, select these, shift right click, face normals, reverse, object mode. Now we have this, and you can apply that use background. So right click, assign existing, use background. And let's put this dome under set proxies. Let's save. I want to change the song. Okay, so what else should I make in this scene? I mean, here's the thing. I know I should probably make the road. That's kind of the obvious one. Roads are kind of hard, and I intentionally didn't track much of the road. If I want to do a road and show how I model like a really perfect road, I want to do it on a shot that's meant for it. A shot with this distortion. Roads are kind of tricky. But yeah, a shot with this windshield distortion and rolling shutter. I want to show how to make a really nice, perfect road on a shot where it'll actually work well. Yeah, I'm not going to do the road on this. Okay, so another thing we can do, if you don't put geo somewhere for things, you want to make sure there's cones. So I'm going to select all the cones I want. You could select every cone if you want, but I don't want cones spawning into that bridge. So I'm going to select points. Actually, let's go set geo and make this reference so we don't select it. I'm going to select all the points that are not covered with geo. South, you can make the other sign. I don't want to make no other sign. Get out of here. I'm just kidding. Good to see you again, South. I'll make that other sign just for you. Okay, let's go lock cone. Wow, those are tiny, tiny cones. So I'm going to select the first cone, scroll to the bottom, select them all, and let's scale them up a bit. And let's hit Control G, group, column, cones. And also with your group selected, you also want to assign your use background because you don't want the cone to obstruct the view and you don't want any of your geo to obstruct the view. So make sure your use background shader is also set to the cones. So I'm going to take those cones, put them under set proxies. Happy to be back. All right, let's put South's sign. Let's go create plane. South's coming in here like he owns the place. Snap point over here. And again, if you have this scripts, just install HK tools. Very easy to find and download, just HK tools. And when you download the file, it literally tells you just to drag the main thing into the Maya viewport and it installs you the shelf. Very easy. But yeah, if you have this set and you've hit hotkey set, and it'll tell you at the bottom of Maya if you're in Maya default hotkeys or HK tools hotkeys, and that's it. I'm in HK hotkeys right now, so I can hit Shift Alt C on anything I select, and I am stabilized. So this sign is another, instance of where the rolling shutter and where we kind of let the error kind of sit. So I'm going to go add a sign or add existing, use background. Scale is up. And again, Maya lets us keep our input history. So I'm going to go divisions, drop it down. That is actually very intense to be shutter or distortion. That looks like, because again, the more planar angle of the glass of the windshield is up top. This looks like we're seeing some intense, like the camera, like there's a little bit of bumping going on in the vehicle. So the camera's moving forward and back from the glass. That is a much more intense bit of slide right there. Again, if you want something like, if you need that sign to stick in your solve, you're gonna have to select your trackers and high weight them. Okay, so this sign, Sousa sign. There we go. Sousa sign. Wait, it's so nice that you have input history in Maya. Yeah, it's a lot of people like the shit on Maya. But the thing with Maya for me is that the reason why I prefer modeling and all this other and animation and deforming in Maya is because of this. If I go to any object like sphere, cube, cylinder, I can shift, swipe, and I can bring in geo very fast. And the thing with this is that once I've positioned it, if you're modeling a head here and you're positioning maybe some earpieces, it's like, okay, I have this position. Now like, oh, how I didn't put enough divisions, and what do I decide? I come over to polysphere, axis, and I can adjust it now. And like, does that look like enough loops? That's what I prefer. Hold on, I want to open Blender real quick. I want to show something. So proud that I have my own sign. Thank you so much. Oh, and Blender's coming over in 1 second. All right. So yeah, over here, if I wanted to model, oh, let me hide this. Like if I was retopologizing the head or something, and some people like to bring in their geo immediately, right? You open up your sphere, UV sphere, and I can, once I've scaled and moved it or clicked off, I've lost the history now, and I cannot adjust these divisions. Is there a way? I don't know if there's a way. I haven't seen anybody mention it, and I've seen very, very veteran Blender users say that there isn't. So that's a shame that you lose that. Where's my wireframe? Can't see. There we go. But yeah, that is a huge pain. And then selecting it, going into edge, alt clicking, and then E, and then dissolving edges. That's kind of an annoying process to me. Like over here, if I had too much loops, I can, just to get into edit mode, I don't have to hit a hotkey. I actually just right click and you have all your modes. So I can just right click, swipe, double click, double click, I've got the ring, shift right click, delete edge. Wait, where's delete edge? Oh, there it is. See, I can just swipe with gestures like this. Whoop. Something I really do miss too is like, I like this. Hold on, if I take this plane, instead of going to edge and all this stuff, I can go multi. So I can select this face, shift right click wedge, and now I've got this. Wedge is different. Wedge, I think you have to get a hotkey in Blender for that. It's pretty cool in Blender. No, actually, it might not be a hotkey anymore. I think that's actually in Blender. Blender has a really cool way to do it, but I don't know enough about it to show it. That's pretty convenient. I even Andrew Hodgson on his modeling stream, he's been modeling for years. He uses Maya, like all the studios use Maya. The people who praise Blender's speed, to me, just either don't know Maya well enough or have only used Blender out of high school and have grown up with Blender. And they've heard other people complain about Maya. But there is a lot to crap on about Maya, don't get me wrong. Blender is awesome. And there are amazing modeling tools in Blender that far surpass Maya. But just Maya out of the box, to me, is just, personally, I think it's better than Blender out of the box modeling. But no, the tools in Blender far surpass any of the default stuff in Maya. So like I said, I'm not going to do this road. I might just be done here. Let's turn this layer off of reference. Yeah, so I'm not gonna get too much better. Sorry if that was loud. I gotta get used to this mic. Yeah, there's not too much I really want to do here with the shot anymore, because I'm not gonna get it a much better error than a much better solve than I have. There's too much going against it. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, now's the time. I'm just trying to think in my head right now if I want to bother trying to do this in Blender, because I don't know. I kind of want to leave my place and do stuff, but I also do want to mess with this in Blender. No, I don't know. I don't think I want to do it. I might do it later. I might do. No, you know what? If I'm gonna do this in Blender, I'm gonna do it on a shot where there isn't windshield glass. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it on the shot. I'm not gonna do it on the shot. All right, yeah, unless there's any questions. That's all I got. If anybody's interested in some HDRIs, I'm gonna start shooting a whole bunch of HDRIs, and I'm just gonna kind of put them in a little package bundle maybe and just send them to people if they want HDRIs. Because I'm gonna start shooting a whole bunch of these. Say my Linus Tech Tips beanbag chair. Oh, I didn't get the logo in it. Oh well. Bye. Oh wait. Are any questions non-directly connected with the scene allowed? Yeah, you can ask whatever questions you want. I don't know how much knowledge I'll be able to provide outside of Syntheyes and Maya. But no, you can ask whatever you want. When using splines in Syntheyes to roto out things for, let's say, auto track, how do you make those splines linear? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't roto. At Track VFX, we don't use those. Like, we just don't see the point, honestly. Usually, I find it's a lot faster to go through a couple frames and manually delete a couple points that you don't want. It just seems to actually be quicker than the time it takes for you to get a spline, attach it to a point, go across the frames and tether it in. We don't use them, but let's just mess around for a second. Whoop, wrong thing. Oh, rotomasking. Right click does that? Interesting. Oh. Double click. Double click the points. That's actually really nice. Did that answer your question? I hope that was it. I really do. Because that was lucky. How to have them linear by default? I'm curious about that now too. Hold on, let's go edit preferences. I'll be honest, I don't see much point in having it by default. I think that's pretty nice just to make your shape, usually in a Bezier curve, is usually like the best up front in a lot of cases. Like I would just draw them out and then just double click them. There's not many cases where you would ever have a shape that's so complex that you would have too many points to double click. Is there a setting over there? No, I don't think so. And yeah, that answered. Oh, nice. Default, yeah. I don't know about default. I personally don't think having it as default is gonna be the most common best use. I know that I'm sometimes looking in random pages here, but sometimes I find that they've put some options in weird places. So sometimes I get lucky just going down some pages. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because if it's a big box shape like this, to me it seems very easy just to go and drop your points. Right click and then just a double click, double click. See, if it's a big blocky shape, you're not gonna have enough points for it to be a hassle for you to linearize it. But organic shapes like this guy, if I'm gonna go and start tracing him out, you're probably gonna be happy that you don't have to mess with these points afterwards. Yeah, because if I start, I would go crazy if I had to turn all of these back to Bezier. You already answered, thanks a lot. Oh, nice. And I made a mess. Cool. All right. So, yeah, this shot's done then. And I want to see if my new end screen works. All right. Is that actually... Hey, it's actually working and looking pretty nice. I don't know if you saw my new graphic, Milo, but I started to change the look of the stream a little bit. So I'm pretty happy with the look. But yeah, thanks for watching. No other questions. And we are good. Thank you a lot. Enjoy your day. Just turning my mic back on to say thanks, Milo, for the very nice looking. Goodbye.